In the stillness of night, a flame flickers beyond time. It is not bound by stone, nor hidden in shadows. It belongs to Athena, goddess of wisdom and clarity. Legends speak of her crown, woven with olive leaves and eternal fire. It shines not to burn, but to guide. It waits for seekers who walk with quiet hearts. Some say it was lost, buried in forgotten temples. Others believe it was never lost, only hidden within us. The crown is a symbol, but also a journey. It whispers of patience, of silence, of listening. To find it, one must step beyond the noise of the world and into the deeper silence of the soul. This story begins with a traveler, not a hero, not a warrior, but a seeker. They wander olive groves and broken marble paths. They follow the sound of unseen wings in the dark. The night carries them to a temple of whispers, where shadows hold questions and echoes hold answers, and where the first spark of the eternal flame waits to be seen. They say every legend begins with silence before the first word is spoken. In that silence, a truth lingers, waiting to be found. The eternal flame crown was never forged of gold or silver. It was born of light, woven with olive leaves touched by Athena herself. It glowed in the heart of her temple, a symbol of wisdom unbroken. But time turned, and stones fell, and whispers replaced memory. The crown was not destroyed, but it faded from mortal sight. It became a story told in fragments, carried by wandering voices. Some claimed it still burned beneath marble ruins. Others believed it ascended to the skies, hidden in constellations. Yet those who listened closely knew the crown was a guide. It was not meant for kings or warriors, but for seekers of truth. The flame within it was eternal, because wisdom never dies. It moves from mind to mind, heart to heart, like a secret fire. Those who chase power cannot find it. Those who crave glory cannot hold it. But those who carry patience, humility, and clarity may glimpse its glow. Our story begins in a time when the crown was nearly forgotten. In a land of olive groves and broken columns, a traveler walked alone. They had no armor, no sword, only a question in their soul. What is the light that guides when all else fades? Their steps echoed through valleys where philosophers once debated, through fields where statues stood silent beneath the stars. And in every stone, every shadow, there seemed a whisper of the past. Legends surrounded the traveler like invisible companions. They spoke of Athena's gift to mortals. They told of a flame that could guide through confusion and doubt. But legends are fragile when weighed against time. The traveler knew the crown might never be seen again. And yet, something deeper urged them forward. Perhaps it was the echo of the goddess herself. Perhaps it was the hidden flame within their own spirit. The traveler reached the foot of a hill crowned with ancient olive trees. The air was heavy with silence, broken only by the wind. On the hill stood remnants of a forgotten temple, its columns cracked, its roof shattered, but its presence unshaken. The traveler paused, heart slow, breath steady, eyes searching. It was here the first whispers would be heard. Not from lips, not from mouths, but from the stones themselves. They seemed to breathe with memory, alive with unspoken wisdom. The traveler placed a hand upon the marble, and in that touch, warmth pulsed like a distant flame. The crown was near, though unseen. It was not waiting to be claimed, but to be understood. The temple of Athena had become a keeper of silence, a silence that asked more questions than it answered. Why do you seek wisdom? What will you do with it if you find it? The traveler did not speak aloud, but in their heart they whispered back, not for power, not for pride, but for light. The silence deepened, then softened, like a cloak of calm. And in that stillness, the first step of the journey began. The seeker was no longer alone. The eternal flame crown was listening, and its story, long dormant, was ready to awaken again. The Temple of Whispers stood in quiet dignity, though its walls were broken and its roof gone. Columns leaned like tired guardians, watching over forgotten secrets. Olive trees circled the ruins, their leaves silver in the moonlight. The traveler stepped carefully, each sound echoing as if the stones listened. A faint wind carried voices, soft and fragmented, like echoes of distant minds. It was not the wind, but the memory of thought itself, still alive in the marble. Philosophers once walked here, debating beneath the gaze of Athena. Their words had not vanished, only folded into the silence of the temple. The traveler entered through a broken archway. Inside, shadows bent and twisted, yet none felt hostile. It was as if the air itself carried unspoken questions. Every step forward was like stepping deeper into a dialogue. At the center lay a cracked altar, worn smooth by time. Upon it, no relic remained, only dust and olive leaves. But when the traveler touched the altar, the leaves glowed faintly. A whisper rose, not from lips, but from within the stone. "Why do you come here?" The traveler closed their eyes and let silence answer first. They did not seek power, nor a crown of gold. They sought the flame of clarity to guide the restless heart. The whisper deepened, like many voices woven together. "You seek the crown that does not burn, but enlightens. You walk among shadows, but shadows can guide." The traveler opened their eyes, and the walls seemed alive. Faint inscriptions glowed across the stone, words of wisdom forgotten. Each phrase carried patience, urging stillness instead of haste. The traveler traced a hand across the letters. They spoke not of rules, but of balance, of harmony, of inner quiet. Suddenly, the faint cry of an owl drifted from above. Its wing stirred the silence, and its shadow passed across the altar. The traveler lifted their gaze and saw it perched high, eyes shining. The owl did not move, but its presence was steady. It was Athena's symbol, the eternal guide of those who seek truth. The traveler felt no fear, only a strange calm. The whispers grew softer, as if bowing to the owl. The temple, once broken, now felt alive with hidden purpose. The seeker understood that the temple was not just ruins. It was a vessel of voices, guarding riddles for the worthy. The crown was not here, but the path toward it began here. The owl spread its wings, slow and deliberate, and flew toward the night. The traveler knew it was an invitation, a guide into deeper mysteries. The altar dimmed, the whispers faded, but the silence grew warmer. It was no longer empty silence, but silence filled with meaning. The traveler stepped back from the altar, bowing slightly. The broken stones glimmered faintly, as if satisfied with the answer given. The seeker left the temple, but its whispers followed softly. Every step away carried the echo of unseen voices. The night was cool, the stars clear, the owl waiting in the trees. The traveler walked forward, guided not by sight, but by trust. And with each step, the journey into the unknown deepened. The crown was far, hidden beyond riddles and silence. But the first spark had been lit within the traveler's heart. The eternal flame crown was not yet revealed, but its presence was nearer now than ever before. The traveler followed the owl through winding paths beneath the olive trees. The night was quiet, yet alive with hidden movement in the shadows. Stars hung like silver lanterns, guiding the seeker's uncertain steps. The air grew heavier, as if the earth itself held its breath. Soon the path widened into a clearing wrapped in ancient silence. At its center, a single stone figure waited beneath the sky. It was the oracle, veiled in twilight, carved yet alive with presence. The traveler felt the weight of unseen eyes watching every thought. The owl perched on a low branch, silent as a guardian. The oracle's form shimmered faintly, neither human nor stone, but both. Its voice came not from its lips, but from the stillness around. You have entered the temple of questions, seeker of light. The traveler bowed their head, unsure if speech was required. No words came, only breath, steady and patient. The oracle continued, its tone like water over stone. The crown you seek is not bound by marble or time. It is born of silence, carried by flame, worn by the soul. But to touch its fire, you must carry a riddle within. The traveler raised their eyes, listening as the oracle spoke again. Only when the heart is still, the flame will rise without burning. The words hung heavy, glowing in the air like unseen fire. The traveler repeated them softly, letting the riddle echo inside. Stillness of fasu, but heart, a flame that does not burn. What did it mean? The oracle gave no further explanation, only silence deeper than night. The seeker waited, hoping for more, but silence was the only gift. The owl blinked once, as though urging patience over demand. The traveler lowered their gaze and accepted the riddle in silence. For riddles of Athena were never answered in haste or pride. They were lived, not solved, and revealed themselves in time. The oracle's form began to fade, its glow softening like mist. But its voice lingered once more, firm and unshaken. Seek the river that reflects not faces, but truths unseen. There you will find the next path, if your heart does not tremble. The traveler felt the ground tremble slightly as the clearing dimmed. When the light returned, the oracle was gone. Only stone remained. Yet its presence lingered, carved into the silence of the night. The traveler looked toward the owl, now perched closer, waiting. The riddle pressed heavy within their chest, yet carried hope. To keep a heart still, to let a flame rise without burning. It was not a task of strength, but of balance and trust. The seeker breathed deeply, steadying mind and spirit. For the journey was not about reaching the crown alone. It was about becoming worthy of the light it carried. The owl spread its wings again, guiding the path ahead. The traveler followed, steps slower, thoughts calmer, heart listening. Each whisper of wind felt like an answer unspoken. Each shadow seemed less threatening, more like a teacher in disguise. The oracle had spoken, and the journey had deepened. The seeker carried no treasure, no proof of progress. Only a riddle, fragile and eternal, glowing softly inside. And in that riddle lay the key to the flame. The path stretched onward into the night, endless and unseen. But the traveler no longer felt lost, for the riddle itself was a light, hidden but steady. The eternal flame crown had not appeared, but its call was near. And so the seeker walked on, heart still, flame waiting. The path led downward, through valleys where the air grew cooler and damp. The owl circled above, gliding silently as if measuring the traveler's pace. The earth beneath their feet softened, marked by streams whispering unseen. Soon, the seeker heard the steady sound of flowing water ahead. A river stretched wide beneath the starlit sky, calm yet unearthly. Its surface shimmered, but not with the reflections of stars or trees. Instead, the water glowed faintly, like liquid glass alive with memory. The traveler approached carefully, heart steady, breath drawn long and slow. This was no ordinary river. It was the river of reflections. Here faces would not appear, but the truths hidden within would rise. The oracle's words returned. Seek the river that reflects not faces, but truths unseen. The seeker knelt at the edge, peering into the glowing current. At first, only ripples moved, bending and stretching like silent whispers. Then shapes formed, moments from the traveler's own life, blurred but vivid. They saw themselves as a child, curious, always searching for meaning. They saw times of doubt, when silence felt heavier than words. They saw choices that hurt others, born not of malice, but fear. The river did not judge, it only revealed what was carried within. Each vision shimmered, rising and fading like smoke in the night. The seeker's heart trembled, but they remembered the oracle's riddle. Only when the heart is still, the flame will rise without burning. They breathed deeply, steadying the pulse that threatened to break stillness. The river shifted, and now it showed paths not yet walked. One where pride led to blindness, another where fear led to silence, and one where patience, courage, and humility led to quiet light. The traveler watched, feeling the weight of choice more than ever before. The owl called softly from a nearby branch, urging steadiness. The seeker closed their eyes, letting the visions pass like flowing water. They did not cling. They did not turn away. They only observed. Slowly, the trembling within their chest began to calm. The river grew brighter, its glow soft and steady as firelight. This time, no visions appeared, only stillness, pure and clear. It was then the traveler understood. The river reflected not truth alone. It reflected the state of the heart that dared to look. Stillness was not emptiness, but balance, a flame without destruction. The traveler touched the water gently, and it rippled with warmth. The glow wrapped around their hand, yet did not burn. Instead, it seeped inward, a quiet fire blooming within. The seeker felt lighter, as if carrying a hidden torch. The owl spread its wings, and the river shimmered in response. The journey was not yet complete, but the riddle had deepened. The traveler rose, heart still, vision clearer, flame steadier. Behind them, the river whispered, carrying their reflection away. Ahead, a path opened through the trees, lit by faint silver light. The seeker walked onward, guided by flame unseen, but felt. The river faded into the distance, but its gift remained. Not proof, not relic, but clarity etched within the soul. The eternal flame crown was still beyond reach, hidden in mystery. But the seeker's heart had touched its light for the first time, and the silence around them no longer felt empty, but alive. The journey stretched forward, waiting, and the seeker was ready. The forest grew denser as the seeker followed the silver-lit path ahead. Leaves whispered in the night, as though carrying voices older than time. The owl soared low, then disappeared into the canopy, guiding from shadows. The seeker's steps slowed, for the air carried a strange resonance. It was not wind nor water, but a sound that was alive. A hum, deep and steady, pulsed from the earth itself. The traveler paused, listening, heart aligning with the rhythm below. Soon, the path opened into a clearing bathed in pale light. At its center stood a circle of stones, carved with ancient symbols. They glowed faintly, like stars caught within the bones of the earth. The hum grew stronger, as if the stones themselves were breathing. The seeker stepped closer, drawn by a force both gentle and commanding. This was no ordinary clearing. It was the circle of resonance. Legends whispered of its power to echo the voice of the soul. Only those who stood within it could hear their true calling. The traveler entered the circle, each step stirring the ground beneath. As they reached the center, silence fell, sudden and complete. The air stilled, the hum ceased, and the world seemed to wait. Then, from the stillness, a vibration rose. Not from without, but within. It thrummed in the traveler's chest, growing louder, stronger, clearer. The seeker closed their eyes, allowing the sound to fill them whole. The resonance shaped itself into words, though none were spoken aloud. "You carry a flame," it whispered, "but flames consume, if left unchecked." The seeker's breath caught, for the truth felt sharper than any blade. "You seek the crown, not for glory, but for understanding," the voice continued. "Yet even understanding, when held too tightly, can blind." The traveler felt the weight of those words press upon their heart. Visions stirred in the resonance, flickering at the edges of sight. A crown of fire resting on stone, untouchable yet inviting. Hands reaching for it, burning not flesh, but pride and desire. The seeker's chest ached, but they did not turn away. Instead, they breathed deeply, letting the resonance guide their stillness. The hum shifted, softer now, like a lullaby sung by the earth. It carried images of balance, water calming fire, fire igniting light. The seeker understood. The crown was not to be possessed. It was to be carried with humility, a flame shared, not claimed. The owl called once more, its wings echoing the resonance's truth. The seeker opened their eyes, and the stones glowed brighter. Symbols pulsed as though alive, marking the traveler's acceptance of wisdom. Then, as swiftly as it began, the resonance faded into silence. The forest returned, yet it felt changed, lighter, more awake. The traveler stepped out of the circle, carrying its echo within. The stones dimmed, their task complete, waiting for another soul to come. The seeker bowed in gratitude, though no one stood to see. This was a gift, not of power, but of alignment and clarity. The path stretched onward, yet it no longer seemed uncertain. Each step felt guided by rhythm, heart, and flame, intertwined. The traveler moved forward, the owl circling above once more. Ahead, faint lights shimmered in the distance, like stars fallen to earth. The seeker knew this was not the end, but a threshold crossed, for the circle of resonance had taught them not where to go, but how to walk the journey, with balance, humility, and listening heart. And so they continued, the hum lingering quietly in their chest, a reminder that the truest flame was not loud, but steady. The eternal flame crown lay hidden still, but now felt closer. Closer not in distance, but in the readiness of the soul. The night deepened as the seeker followed the glimmer of distant lights. The forest thinned, and soon the ground turned to smooth stone. The owl glided low, circling before vanishing into the vast horizon. The traveler stepped into a wide plateau crowned by ancient pillars. They rose like giants, broken yet enduring, carved with fading marks. The air here was dry, yet it carried a weight of memory. Every step echoed, as though walking across a floor of voices. The seeker approached the center, where a single pillar stood unbroken. Upon it lay a bronze bowl, dark with age yet intact. Beside it rested 3 small vessels, each filled with a different element. One shimmered with water, clear as moonlight on glass. Another held sand, golden and fine, whispering with shifting grains. The last contained small coals, faintly glowing with dormant fire. The traveler realized this was the trial of the 3 elements, a test older than any story, demanding balance and choice. The oracle's voice seemed to rise from memory, Unite, do not divide. The seekers studied the vessels, heart steady, mind quiet. The water reflected their face, calm but uncertain. The sand trickled like time itself, patient and relentless. The coals whispered of warmth, yet hinted at consuming hunger. The seeker reached out, pausing, then lifted the vessel of water. They poured it into the bowl, and silence followed. The water stilled, then shimmered with a faint silver glow. Next, the traveler poured the sand, which sank gently, settling in layers. The bowl hummed, the sound low, deep, and resonant. Finally, the seeker placed the glowing coals into the mixture. The water hissed softly, the sand embraced the sparks, and balance emerged. A faint flame rose, not wild, but steady and gentle. It flickered with silver light, casting shadows that moved like memory. The traveler bowed their head, understanding the lesson revealed. Fire could not live without earth, nor earth without water. Together, they birthed balance, a flame that endured, not destroyed. The owl returned, perching upon the highest broken pillar. It watched with eyes that reflected the silver flame below. The seeker felt warmth within, as though the trial's fire lived inside. The flame in the bowl pulsed once, then settled, steady and calm. The traveler reached out, but did not touch. It was not theirs to claim. It was theirs to carry, invisible yet guiding, silent yet strong. The pillars around them glowed faintly, runes awakening with light. A path revealed itself, carved in stone, leading toward distant mountains. The seeker knew the journey pressed onward, each step a deeper trial. But now they carried a flame steadier than before, born of balance. The owl spread its wings, soaring into the sky once more. The plateau dimmed, the bowl silent, the vessels empty. Test complete. The seeker walked forward, leaving the pillars behind like ancient sentinels. Each step echoed, not in emptiness, but in resonance with the flame. The mountains loomed, dark yet inviting, promising trials untold. And as the seeker advanced, the night sky shimmered with hidden fire. It was not just the flame of the trial, but a reminder. The eternal flame crown was not distant, but already unfolding within. The traveler carried it in heart, though the journey still stretched far. The silence of the plateau faded, replaced by the call of the road. And so they walked on, steady, listening, guided by the flame. The mountains rose tall, their peaks hidden beneath drifting veils of cloud. The seeker climbed steadily, the path narrow and winding like a serpent. Cold wind swept across the ridges, carrying whispers of forgotten voices. The owl soared above, wings stretched wide against the gray horizon. The traveler paused often, not from weariness, but from awe. Each step higher revealed valleys below, glowing faintly with hidden fires. It felt as though the world itself watched from beneath a veil. As twilight deepened, the seeker reached a ledge carved by time. There, a stone arch stood, weathered but unbroken, guarding the way. Beyond it, a cavern opened, its mouth aglow with faint light. The traveler entered, guided not by sight alone, but by stillness. Inside, walls shimmered with veins of crystal, glowing in soft hues. Shadows danced as if alive, shaped by the faint crystal glow. At the heart of the cavern stood a pool, perfectly still. Its surface gleamed with silver light, reflecting not stone, but sky. This was no ordinary cavern. It was the mirror of the stars. Legends told it revealed not the world above, but the soul within. The seeker approached, heart steady, flame within guiding each breath. Kneeling at the edge, they gazed into the endless reflection. At first, only stars shone back, infinite and unreachable. Then, the traveler's own face appeared, clear yet strangely unfamiliar. Eyes reflected both strength and doubt, light and shadow intertwined. The pool shifted, revealing scenes of choices not yet made. Paths diverging, one lit with triumph, another shadowed with solitude. The seeker's breath slowed, understanding the meaning beneath the vision. The stars did not show destiny, but possibility shaped by choice. The traveler reached a hand toward the surface, but did not touch. The pool rippled regardless, as though sensing the flame inside. Images emerged. Moments of compassion, moments of pride, moments of silence. Each choice carried weight, each echo shaping the fire they bore. The seeker closed, their eyes, listening not with ears, but with heart. The silence deepened, broken only by the gentle hum of crystals. Then, from the stillness, a voice rose, not external, but inward. You are not shaped by destiny, but by how you walk it. The seeker trembled, for the truth rang deeper than stone itself. You seek the crown, but the crown is reflection, not possession. The words echoed, fading into the stillness of the cavern. When the seeker opened their eyes, the pool had stilled again. Now, their reflection shone brighter, no longer divided, but whole. The stars within the pool aligned, forming a crown of light. It hovered above the reflection, flickering like eternal flame. The traveler bowed their head, not to claim, but to honor. The vision faded, leaving only the quiet silver glow behind. The owl called from the cavern's mouth, summoning them onward. The seeker rose, carrying the lesson like a flame in the chest. They turned from the pool, leaving the stars to shimmer undisturbed. As they stepped outside, the night sky mirrored the pool within. Stars burned bright above, endless, guiding yet untouchable. The mountains loomed higher, yet the traveler felt lighter, steadier. Each step now carried both humility and certainty, flame and balance. The journey was not about reaching the crown, but embodying it. And as the seeker climbed higher, the stars seemed to follow. Not above, not distant, but walking alongside with silent light. The eternal flame crown was closer, waiting beyond the next horizon. The seeker climbed higher until the mountain path gave way to mist. The air grew thin, sharp, and filled with the scent of stone and frost. Each breath felt heavy, yet the flame within carried them onward. The owl circled above, its wings pale against the veil of clouds. Soon, the traveler reached a plateau wrapped in a shifting fog. The mist was thick, swallowing sound and shape, leaving only silence. The seeker paused, uncertain, for no path could be seen ahead. Then, faintly, a chime rang out, soft and melodic in the stillness. The sound seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Drawn forward, the seeker walked slowly, steps guided by the sound. The mist parted slightly, revealing tall structures of polished stone. They were pillars, smooth and shining, arranged like an ancient maze. Between them hung silver bells, swaying though no wind blew. Each bell rang with a tone that resonated deep in the chest. This was the labyrinth of echoes, a place of truth and voice. Legends whispered it tested not the body, but the clarity of spirit. The seeker stepped between the pillars, bells chiming as they passed. The sound wove together, forming a song both haunting and beautiful. But as the traveler went deeper, the tones began to change. Some grew harsh, discordant, as if echoing doubts and fears. The seeker stopped, heart trembling, realizing the bells mirrored their mind. The clearer the heart, the purer the sound, the path revealed. The louder the doubt, the harsher the tone, the path obscured. The traveler closed their eyes, steadying breath, flame steady in chest. They listened carefully, not to the bells, but to the silence within. Slowly, the discord faded, replaced by tones soft and true. Each step forward brought harmony, the bells singing like guiding stars. But then came a turn where the tones faltered once more. Voices rose within, memories of failure, fear of not being enough. The bells screamed sharp, clashing notes that made the seeker falter. They nearly turned back, but then remembered the oracle's words. Only when the heart is still, the flame will rise without burning. The seeker breathed deeply, letting the fear pass like drifting mist. The discord softened, the bells regained their harmony, and the path cleared. At last, the labyrinth ended in a wide, open circle. Here, a great bell stood, towering, silent, waiting to be rung. Its surface was engraved with spirals that glowed faintly in the fog. The seeker approached, placing a hand upon the cold, ancient metal. The flame within their heart pulsed, and the bell answered with warmth. Without striking, it rang, a deep, resonant tone that shook the mist. The sound cleared the fog, revealing mountains, valleys, and stars beyond. The seeker stood still, awed, heart aligned with the sound of truth. The great bell quieted, its task complete, leaving silence once again. But the silence now was not empty. It was filled with resonance. The owl returned, perched upon the bell, eyes glowing in the dark. The seeker bowed in gratitude, then turned to face the open path. The labyrinth was gone, its pillars dissolved into mist and starlight. What remained was clarity, a sound carried within, silent yet guiding. The traveler stepped forward, the bell's tone still echoing in memory. The mountain path stretched higher, promising both challenge and revelation. Yet the seeker felt lighter, steadier, as though carrying music inside. The eternal flame crown awaited, not as prize but as harmony. And so they climbed, guided by flame, silence, and song. The night deepened as the seeker moved higher into the mountains. Stars glimmered above, bright and sharp against the velvet sky. The air was still, yet alive with whispers carried by unseen winds. Each step felt guided, though no visible path marked the stone. The owl soared ahead, its wings silent, tracing the way forward. The seeker followed, holding steady to the inner flame. Soon they reached a valley, hidden between ridges of silver rock. In its center lay a pool, dark, still, reflecting the vast heavens. The water shimmered faintly, as if stars had fallen into its depths. The seeker approached, kneeling at the edge, gaze drawn inward. Legends named this place the Mirror of Selene, the moon's secret gift. It did not show the world, but the unseen within the heart. The seeker bent closer, expecting only a reflection of face and flame. Yet the surface rippled, revealing visions both familiar and strange. First came the image of a child beneath an olive tree. The child's eyes were curious, wide, filled with unspoken questions. The seeker recognized the innocence, a memory long forgotten. Then the water shifted, showing a traveler wandering through storms. Alone, weary, yet still moving, carrying a light that never died. The seeker's breath caught, realizing it was themselves, shaped by trials. The pool did not judge. It revealed the thread of truth within. The flame in their chest grew brighter, pulsing with gentle warmth. But then the water darkened, showing shadows with no clear form. They whispered doubts, fear of failure, fear of unworthiness. The seeker shivered, tempted to turn away from the vision. Yet something deeper urged them to watch without fleeing. The shadows swirled, forming faces, voices from the past. Criticism, silence, expectations that weighed heavy on the heart. The pool reflected not punishment, but the burden carried silently. The seeker closed their eyes, letting the voices echo, then fade. When they opened them, the water was still once more. A single star shimmered in the reflection, brighter than the rest. It pulsed gently, as though waiting for recognition. The seeker reached out, fingertips brushing the cool surface. The water rippled, and the star's light flowed into their chest. The flame and star merged, glowing steady, strong, unshaken. The seeker felt whole, not perfect, but unbroken by shadows. The owl called softly, as if affirming the moment of clarity. The pool quieted, its visions gone, leaving only starlight. The valley itself seemed to bow into silence, honoring the choice. The seeker rose, feeling lighter, though nothing had been left behind. What changed was within. The burden now seen, understood, released. They turned from the pool, carrying its reflection as memory. The path forward awaited, carved in silver light upon the rocks. As the seeker climbed, the night grew brighter, though the moon hid. It was as though the stars themselves guided each step ahead. The mountains opened slowly, revealing peaks crowned with light. At their center stood a distant glow, faint but unwavering. The seeker knew it was not the end, but a promise. The eternal flame crown was closer, not in distance, but in spirit. The journey was less about arrival, more about becoming. The seeker walked on, silent, heart glowing, stars reflected in their eyes. And the night carried them forward, deeper into mystery and truth. The path narrowed as the seeker entered a gorge of ancient stone. The walls towered high, streaked with silver veins that caught the starlight. The air was cooler here, filled with the scent of earth and echoes. Every step carried a weight, as though the gorge remembered countless footsteps. The owl flew low, wings brushing close to the stone, guiding in silence. Ahead, faint lights flickered, dancing like lanterns in the hollow dark. The seeker pressed forward, drawn by the strange glow beyond the bend. Soon, the gorge opened into a vast cavern carved by time itself. Its ceiling shimmered with crystals that glowed like constellations. The floor was smooth, almost polished, reflecting the crystalline lights above. In the center stood a circle of tall obelisks, carved with runes. Between them drifted lights, spheres of gentle flame, neither fire nor smoke. They floated calmly, pulsing as if breathing with hidden rhythm. The seeker recognized this place from whispered tales, the chamber of memory. Here, it was said, every soul must walk through echoes of their past. The spheres of flame drifted closer, circling like guardians in silence. One touched the traveler's shoulder, and the world dissolved around them. Suddenly, they stood in a meadow filled with olive trees in bloom. Children laughed in the distance, running freely in golden light. The seeker recognized themselves, younger, unburdened, before the weight of doubt. The vision was tender, a reminder of beginnings without fear. Then, the meadow faded, replaced by a marketplace filled with noise. The traveler stood again, older, facing voices that doubted and dismissed. The echoes stung, not with malice, but with memory of wounds. The seeker's heart trembled, flame flickering, tempted to shrink away. But they remembered the harmony of the bell and the mirror's star. They breathed deeply, standing firm, letting the noise pass without power. The marketplace dissolved, and silence returned, warm and steady. Another sphere descended, glowing brighter, wrapping them in radiant light. This time, the vision was of a night beneath endless stars. The seeker sat alone, holding a small flame in trembling hands. They remembered this moment, when hope seemed nearly lost, yet endured. Tears touched their eyes, but not of sorrow, of recognition and strength. The flame within their chest pulsed brighter, embracing the memory fully. The vision faded, and the chamber reformed, glowing softly. The spheres drifted away, their task complete, their warmth lingering. The seeker felt different, lighter, yet rooted, carrying past without chains. The obelisks shimmered, runes glowing in unison, as if granting passage. At the center of the circle, a stone pedestal rose. Upon it lay an olive branch, golden, crowned with faint embers. The seeker reached forward, hand steady, touching the branch with care. The embers flared, yet did not burn, flowing into the traveler's flame. It was not a crown, not yet, but a piece of the path. The seeker bowed, grateful, carrying the gift with reverence. The cavern shifted, its light forming a new exit in the stone. The owl called from the opening, wings wide against the glow. The traveler followed, leaving behind the chamber of memories, echoes. As they stepped into the cool night air, stars burned brighter. The path ahead climbed higher, yet the burden grew lighter with each step. The eternal flame crown awaited, not as reward, but as recognition. And the seeker walked on, flame steady, guided by memory and truth. The mountain's peak rose at last, crowned with a halo of silver dawn. The seeker climbed the final steps, heart steady, flame glowing within. The air grew thin, yet every breath felt full, rich with meaning. The owl soared ahead, then perched quietly upon a stone ledge. Before them stretched a plateau, vast, silent, open to the heavens. At its center stood a pedestal of marble, ancient, yet unbroken. Upon it burned a flame, golden, pure, untouched by wind or time. This was the eternal flame crown, the gift of Athena herself. The seeker approached, footsteps slow, reverent, carried by unseen harmony. The flame flickered, not in warning, but as though recognizing presence. The seeker knelt, not to claim, but to listen, to honor. The wind stilled, and the mountain seemed to hold its breath. In that silence, the flame rose, bright, weaving into a crown. It hovered above the pedestal, light flowing like liquid gold. The seeker closed their eyes, bowing their head in quiet humility. The flame descended, resting not upon hair, but upon spirit within. There was no weight, no burden, only warmth and clarity. The seeker felt both vast and small, connected to all that was. The crown was not possession, it was awakening, alignment, remembrance. Visions unfurled, not of glory, but of balance and care. Olive trees swaying in the wind, voices rising in wisdom. The world below waiting, not for conquest, but for gentle guidance. The seeker's flame pulsed, now joined with the eternal fire above. The crown shone brighter, then softened, leaving only steady light. The pedestal quieted, task complete. Flame returning to stillness. The owl called once, its cry sharp, pure, echoing across the sky. The seeker rose, heart no longer searching, but carrying the answer. They turned toward the horizon, where a dawn spilled gold across the peaks. The world stretched vast, valleys and rivers glimmering in morning light. The seeker understood. The journey had never been about reaching a throne. It was about seeing clearly, carrying the flame into every step. The crown was not a reward, but a mirror of the soul. To wear it was not to rule, but to serve with wisdom. The seeker bowed once more to the mountain, to the flame, to the sky. Then descended, each step guided by balance. Flame steady within. The owl followed close, wings spread wide, companion until the end. The path down was no easier than the climb, but it felt new. Every stone, every shadow, every breath was alive with meaning. The seeker carried no treasure but the light, no prize but clarity. And in that they carried everything, enough to guide and to heal. When at last they reached the valley, the olive trees awaited. Their branches swayed, welcoming, as though whispering in ancient tongues. Children played in the fields, laughter rising like morning song. The seeker smiled, heart warm, knowing the flame would never fade. The crown was eternal, but so was the journey, unending, alive. And so the story of the seeker became one with the land, not written in stone, but carried in fire, in air, in memory. The eternal flame crown burned on, not in the sky, not on the mountain, but in every soul that dared to walk with courage and gentleness. The tale closed as dawn rose, light spilling across the earth. The seeker's footsteps faded, yet their flame remained, guiding still. And so ends the journey, yet it never truly ends at all.